Good morning. Hello. Welcome, everyone. God bless you if you're in the house, because we are about to dive into a very deep case study using my own numbers. We're going to be covering the infinite banking concept, the process in 2023. A couple things I want to share with you. For those of you that don't know me, this is your first time watching. My name is Denzel Rodriguez. On this channel, we cover the velocity banking concept, infinite banking, and kingdom authority, bringing all these concepts together, merging faith and finances together. Been having a blast doing it the last 5 years. And I'm excited to provide updates on my financial journey. I think it's important that when you're working on your financial freedom journey, your process to financial freedom, to financial independence, you're going to come across strategies and concepts and different ways of doing things with your money. And what you'll experience, like I have, is you'll do something and it'll maybe work for that particular season or for that particular time period. But then maybe that strategy or that process is no longer efficient for you, or you might learn something that adds to what you're already doing that improves your situation. So it's either going to help you as you continue to have your mind stay open to learning new information, and then having a process to experiment, to work the process through to see, okay, does this produce successful, reasonable, tangible, sufficient results? Or is this something that I should be doing for a long period of time? Do I need to pivot? Do I need to change? That kind of a thing. What we're going to be discussing today, like I said, we're going to be focusing a lot of our time on the infinite banking process. I'm going to use my numbers as a case study. I'm going to give you my framework, how I look at this, right? My way of thinking. And then I'm also going to share with you how I have improved my way of thinking, my way of being around this concept by simply spending time with some of the top performing leaders in the industry, the brightest minds that understand this concept, that pair it with other products and services in that regard, and how that has helped me say, okay, now I need to go back to my community, bring them up to speed in terms of, okay, here's where I was, here's where I am today, here's how I'm moving forward. Cool? Sound good? Before we dive in, I want to say hello to everyone that's in the house. We have 28 people in the house so far. That number is increasing. Hello to Felicia. Hello to William. Good morning. Hello, Prince, Tamika. I see you guys are in the house. Okay, Prince, hello. Jewel. Hey, Jewel. All right, how we doing? How's things going? I know we were on a previous live stream, right? We were talking HELOCs and lowering the interest rates, that kind of a thing. Good morning, Smith, Flooring, Jesse, Joseph. Good morning. Good day, brother. How we doing? Okay, awesome. If it's your first time here on a live stream, go ahead and comment my first time. Also, comment where you're tuning in from, what city, what state, where you're tuning in from, and if this is your first time live. Also, rep some pride if you're an existing client of mine. We work together. Put that in the comments. I'm a client, been working with Denzel. What's your testimony? Share it with others that are brand new so they see what kind of environment, what kind of community we're growing here. All right. So I'm going to do a combination of sharing the whiteboard, right? And then I'm going to share my screen as well. Let's have a lot of data, a lot to share with you. I'm going to go as smooth, slow, efficient as possible. I will stop from time to time to look at the comment section, say, okay, are you with me? All right, questions before I move forward. Are we all on the same page? That kind of a thing. If you haven't grabbed your coffee yet, go ahead and do that. Have your pen, pencil, notes ready to go. And the things that I share on my screen, if you want them, because all I did was typed up 2 Word documents. If you want them, just email me directly. I will put my email in the comments, in the comment section, so you can email me directly, right? If you would like to have the different Word docs that I'm going to be sharing with you, right? These are just some principles, just some ways of thinking, how I'm proceeding, how I'm moving forward, that kind of a thing. All right? 40 people in the house now. Awesome. So we got Tim, hello, tuning in from North Carolina. Hello, Dan, another wonderful day. Awesome. Daryl, how we doing? Great. Cool. So let's start with the 4 major numbers. As of July 2023, right, is when we're live right now. It's what is it? It's July 8th, okay? To date, I've been able to generate $207,186.48 net revenue, okay? I simply took that number and I divided it by 6 because we're at the top of July, since we're at the beginning of the month. The way I have my income set up is I pretty much have majority of my income coming in at the end of the month, all right? So since it's the first week, right, of this month, I haven't counted the revenue yet of what's been generated in the last 8 days. So this is looking back June 30th. Okay, so 207,186.48. I divided it by 6. Average income per month is $34,531.08 so far to date. Total expenses, these are overestimated expenses. So my overestimated number can be as low as $15,620.45 or as high as $17,000 a month. Total debt, I have $124,000 in policy loans. Okay, so that means this debt number is not from any institution. This has come from my own banking system, which means over the years, I've been able to create a net positive arbitrage where what I paid in interest, I made up for in terms of what I did with that money. Okay? So essentially, I'm borrowing at 0% cost, right? My net cash flow is $18,910.63 per month, okay? Now, what I did with this $200,000 number right here, 200K net cash flow per year, is another underestimated cash flow number, right? So I'm doing that completely on purpose so that I can show you how I think, how I operate. So if we were to take 18,910.63 times it by 12, 226,000 is more like what I'll cash flow in 2023. But I'm underestimating and assuming I'll do around 200,000 in net cash flow, right? So laying out the 4 major numbers, principal foundation, number 1, you need to know your numbers down to the cent, down to the penny. Very, very important. Okay. Second part of the strategy here of what we're going to be focusing our time on is infinite banking process. So I'm going to show you a insurance policy that I will be acquiring in the near future. Okay. Currently, I have 2 life insurance policies already. So I've been practicing the infinite banking concept for the last 4 or 5 years, where I've been funding, borrowing, using, leveraging, gaining, tax-free, guaranteed, safety, death benefit, liquid, all those things. Enjoying that process. It's been fun. We're going to keep going. I'm now working towards acquiring a 3rd policy, right? So this is what we're going to be looking at, not what I already have in place. We're just going to be looking at what I'm looking to do. So I'm looking at Guardian being the insurance company that I most likely will end up working with. I'm going to obtain a whole life insurance contract, right? And if I'm not mistaken, I just got a notification that my live stream on Facebook might have stopped. So if you were watching on Facebook, forgive me. Ecamm Live just gave me that update that it just stopped. So we're still live on YouTube, and I'm still live on LinkedIn. Okay, don't know why that error came up. Is what it is, but I do see there's 63 people in the house, so welcome to everyone that's here. So continuing on, Guardian whole life insurance contract. Whole life is the preferred product to practice the infinite banking concept. Okay? Now, you may have a different opinion about that, and that's totally fine. The other option, the other product that some people try or to do infinite banking with that concept is with an index universal life insurance policy. Okay? I choose not to agree with that. That's my opinion. It just doesn't work for me based on the information, the research that I've done so far, as well as looking at many of the industry leaders in the space that also prefer to do infinite banking with a whole life insurance contract. Okay? But before I go any further, let me share with you all of the marketing terms that are used in this space so that you don't get confused. And I'm going to simplify it for you. Right? I'm going to simplify it for you. So understand, infinite banking, those two words, is a marketing term. There is no proprietary product, that this one agency has. No. Those are just marketing terms. We're all using two products, either a whole life insurance contract with a mutually held insurance company, right? A mutual whole life insurance company, not a stock insurance company. So that's important. Or an index universal life insurance policy. That is what you will hear all across the social media space. So they'll say infinite banking, and they're either using whole life, or they're using IUL, or they're using both. So those are just the two products. That's it. Whole life, index universal life. Put that in your notes. Any marketing term that gets used is just referring to one of those two products, right? So not to create any confusion there, let me go ahead and share my screen, and I'm just going to share with you all of the marketing terms that get used, right? So let me go ahead and like this. All right, so infinite banking marketing terms. Some people have trademarked these terms. That doesn't mean that provider, that agency is designing a proprietary product. Impossible. There's nothing proprietary about anything regarding whole life insurance or IUL. Those products are coming directly from the insurance companies. Anyone that has the education can design what the customer is looking for when they want to practice infinite banking. So when we talk about infinite banking marketing terms or strategies, that's just additional selling points, features, and benefits of working with that particular agent or agency. So you got infinite banking concept, you got become your own banker, bank on yourself, private banking, tax-free banking, cash flow banking, dynamic banking, your own family bank, sacred account, master account, investment grade insurance contract. These are all the marketing terms that you will hear an agent say, and that essentially separates themselves. It creates uniqueness. It creates, it's a selling point. It's attractive, all those different things. What they are saying behind all of that is either going to be a whole life insurance contract or a index universal life insurance contract, right? Now, there's different types of funding when it comes to a whole life. So whenever you're looking at an illustration, you might see these terms, L100, L95, 10 pay, 20 pay, 30 pay, et cetera, right? Those are basically just different ways of funding a whole life insurance contract, but at the end of the day, it's still a whole life, right? And then you'll typically see these companies, you will most likely receive illustrations when you're working with an agent with these companies: Mass Mutual, Guardian, Penn Mutual, Lafayette, One America. And then there's a couple of more. I didn't put them all there. All right, I think you've got Security Mutual is one, right? And if you know of another company that your agent used with your existing life insurance policy, you can put that in the comments. But these are the most popular ones for sure, without a doubt. Mass, Guardian, Penn, Lafayette, One America. I have typically seen these to be the most popular used in the space, and there's good reason for that. When you're talking with an agent, they'll explain what those reasons are. Here are all the infinite banking players on YouTube specifically, right? These people are probably on different social media profiles, different channels and whatnot. I just simply did my marketing research specifically looking at YouTube, because YouTube is the place where you'll most likely get a very, very in-depth case study, right? You get a really, really nice case study. You'll get in-depth information, 30, 40, 50, 1 hour, 2 hour plus long videos where they break this stuff down. So you got Stephen Gardner, good friend of mine, Chris Crone. He's mostly in real estate, but talks about whole life and how he's used it. You have VIP Financial Education. You got the Kwok Brothers, Seven Figure Squad. You got Wealth Nation. Okay, now these numbers are old numbers. I got to update them. All of these people have more subscribers than what I'm putting here. These are old numbers, so don't look at that. You got Garrett Gunderson. You got Doug Andrew. You got myself. See, old numbers, 38K. All right, I'm at over 50 now. You got Chris Kirkpatrick, right? Life 180. All right, let me just put the name of his channel there, Life 180. And there's some people on this list that I left out that I didn't know at the time in my marketing research. So there was no ill intent there, right? I just simply don't know you, right? This is just what came up when I did my marketing research. Yeah, IBC Global, The Money Advantage, Curtis Ray. You got the Nelson Nash Institute. So within the Nelson Nash Institute, there's probably a lot of individual agents or YouTubers that have content. So I just put all those people under the Nelson Nash Institute because they're most like those agents went through the Nelson Nash Institute to become an infinite banking practitioner. So the Nelson Nash Institute is a school, right, to help agents become better practitioners of the infinite banking concept. And so I'm pretty sure there's a bunch of YouTubers that I'm missing out here. So if you're watching, whatever the case may be, again, no ill intent, just trying to make a summarized list here. Same goes for this marketing term right here, bank on yourself. Okay, bank on yourself is also another institute where an agent can learn infinite banking concept, becoming your own banker. And there's probably a good amount of YouTubers, content creators, individual agents creating content. All right. You got Oregon Cashflow Pro. I know him. Good guy. You got James Nethery. You've got Banking Truths. You got Caleb, good friend of mine. We recently partnered up in the last year. He's doing great. Again, old numbers. You got Jerry Fetta, Kim Butler, and there's others. Okay. Then you've got the Infinite Banking books. Okay. Books that you can read on this concept. Become Your Own Banker, Building Your Warehouse of Wealth, The And Asset. That was written by Caleb. Become Your Own Banker. That was written by Nelson Nash. You got Money, Wealth, Life Insurance. You got The Case for IBC. What Would the Rockefellers Do? That was written by Garrett Gunderson. Killing Sacred Cows, Garrett Gunderson. Live Your Life Insurance. Right? Cool stuff. I'm going to pause. Again, if you want this, just email me directly. Happy to give that to you. Let me take a quick breather here and put my email in the comment section so that you have it. Right? And did I spell it correctly? Yes, Denzel at Builder to Contributor right there. Again, if you want that, totally happy to send it to you. It'll be a nice little guide, a little help to really evaluate who you're talking to, who do you want to work with, right? So now, before I go further, just want to make sure we're all on the same page. We covered 4 major numbers. I covered the company that I'm going to be working with, right? And I'm going to go into the numbers. Then I talked about infinite banking marketing terms, 2 products, whole life, IUL, my opinion, my preference. I stick with whole life. I have 2 whole life insurance policies right now, working on a 3rd. All right. So okay, first time here. Welcome from Texas. Awesome. Sam, good morning. Blessings. New York in the house. Existing client since April this year. Awesome. R. Rodriguez. Awesome. First time from San Diego. How we doing? Awesome. New York. Wesley, Joel, Denver. Awesome. Jewel. It's all new to me. I just got the HELOC in June, so I'm not sure about what the payment will be or when it will be due. Okay, awesome. So you're working on that. Tuning in from Alabama. Awesome. From Missouri. Good morning. Denver, Colorado. Shane, how we doing? Andre. It's been a little while, Andre. I'm sure we need to jump on a call. Smith, checking in from Bahamas. Awesome. Mark, 2nd year with whole life policy, about to take my first policy loan and ready to start policy number 2. Awesome. All right. D-Rock, hello. Steven, I hear become your own banker a lot. Yep. The approved. Oh, you in New York? Awesome. That's Sebastian Boyer. You guys can look at in the comments section. He's very, very good on business credit, building business credit, building business credibility. The approved guy, that's his YouTube channel. You can check him out. Has a ton of valuable content. Very familiar with the velocity banking concept and infinite banking as well. Wesley says, are you the owner of your policies or are they owned by a trust or entity? As of right now, I personally own these policies personally right now. I don't have a desire to put them in a trust yet. Okay, that does release a little bit of control when you do that. So I'm not interested in doing that as of right now, but I understand that there's a strategy there to do that. I am working with a church organization. I'm working with a faith-based organization where we put what's called a TOLI, a trust-owned life insurance contract. So TOLI, TOLI for short. And I'm working with pastors and other churches to educate them on how they can create a TOLI for the church to ensure members of the ecclesia, right, the church, so that when elders pass away, tax-free payouts go directly into the body of Christ, the church, to expand, to perpetuate the kingdom of heaven here on earth. Pretty unique strategy. Not a whole lot of churches are teaching about it. This is something that I'm working with pastors directly on to educate them on that. So that is going to be a lovely strategy. Gary says people should be aware that Mass Mutual came out with a letter to agents earlier this year discouraging the use of infinite banking, but they seem to craft products specifically for IBC. Confusing. You're absolutely correct. It was a double-edged sword, right? Mass Mutual did put that out, and what's funny is on the document, it wasn't supposed to be public, right? So there was quite a few agents, I think, that went public with it. And the document, I think, clearly said that you're not supposed to go public with it. So I don't know how that worked out. I do know that there are some players on that list that can no longer do business with Mass Mutual. So Mass Mutual dropped all those agents that are encouraging the use of infinite banking, right? So they were dropped. Now, Mass Mutual, to your point, Gary, they create phenomenal products. They literally are the only company that I know of all the mutual life insurance companies. They're the only one that literally has a whole life insurance contract that's literally titled High Early Cash Value, HECV, HECV for short. They literally have a product where it lowers the commission of the insurance agent, which gives more cash value up front for the customer. So they literally have a product called high early cash value. Why would somebody want high early cash value in the beginning years if you don't plan on borrowing from the policy in the early years? That it's an oxymoron, right? It's a bit of it is very confusing, Gary, right? So it's like literally they created a phenomenal product which allows you to have more cash value up front in the beginning years to do what? To borrow. Hence, the concept of infinite banking is being able to redirect money that we're saving in other locations that may be not as efficient, where we can put it into a tax-free location. It can grow compounded, comes with a death benefit. You get the living benefit, which is the cash value. You're able to borrow against the money. So you're being charged an interest rate, but then you're also earning an interest rate. So you're creating a little bit of an offset in the beginning. And then depending on what you do with the money once you borrowed against it, and let's say you're earning a much higher rate of return to offset your interest costs, that is infinite banking, right? And then there's a lifestyle behind it. There's a life process behind that. So it is a little weird, right? But at the same time, I think maybe Mass Mutual on the back end might be dealing with maybe too many people maybe not practicing the concept right. These are just my thoughts right now, right? So I'm just like, I'm thinking like, okay, maybe from Mass Mutual standpoint, they're looking at all their whole life insurance contracts that they have written out, and they're seeing a whole lot of people with a whole lot of loans, and maybe a whole lot of people are not paying back their loans, and maybe a whole lot of people are maybe getting their policies lapsed or something like that. And maybe they're tying that back to infinite banking, right? So they're just distancing themselves. Whereas on the other hand, there's companies like Lafayette, Penn Mutual, One America, where they're actually pro infinite banking. So I just attended an event called the And Asset Mastermind, which is hosted by Caleb. So shout out to him, Better Wealth, the And Asset. I had the privilege of meeting over 100 plus and like 30 different speakers, all in the infinite banking space, all with different perspectives. And I even had the opportunity to hear the CEO of Lafayette, I believe it was, speak to us. And he's no stranger to infinite banking. So you've got people in high places promoting and backing up the concept. And on the same point, you have people in high places refuting or calling it a scam, whatever the case may be. So you get to make that decision for yourself. Say, okay, is this worth my time? Is it not? And we go from there. Great information. Okay. What license or certification would you need in order to offer this to others? What knowledge? Okay. All we need is a life insurance license, 214. All right, you can get the 215 as well on the health side. 214 is the only thing that you need to get licensed to sell whole life. And then you're going to want to most likely pair up with one of the infinite banking players where you can get education and training, and it'll vary in costs. Some people charge, some don't. There's people putting out helpful information on here, that kind of a thing. Hi, Denzel. We had our first meeting 2 weeks ago. I'm following directions, watching videos, checking out HELOCs, keeping it simple. Love it. Great. Got Frank in the house. Nathan, awesome. He was adding New York Life to the list. Okay, I talked to a few people that had a policy privacy with them. Awesome. Okay, New York. Okay, got it. New York. You're not in New York right now. Gotcha. You're just mentioning New York Life. Okay. Back to the board. Good stuff. You guys are enjoying this so far? We got 90 people in the house. Awesome. Recap, right? 4 major numbers. These are my numbers. Of my net cash flow per year, I'm underestimating the number. I'm working with 200,000. My personal foundation principal rule to save money, my amount that I save is 40%, right? Minimum amount of money that I'm saving per year is 40% of my income, right? Or I should say 40% of my cash flow, net cash. So after all bills, expenses, taxes, operation costs, personal expenses, after everything is paid, what I have money left over, and then I purpose 40% minimum of that money towards savings, right? If you talk to any local pastor, bishop, leader, I've heard 10% saving. If you talk to anyone a part of the FIRE community, which stands for Financial Independence and Retire Early, right? They save 50% of their income, if I'm not mistaken. They live off 50% of their income, and I think they save and invest the rest, right? So, principle here, before practicing the infinite banking concept, before you start this process, a principle you want to add in your notes. We already went over one. Know your numbers. Very, 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 very important. Whatever you net in cash flow per year, determine a percentage amount that you're going to save per year, right? So the concept of saving is super, 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 super important for the success of infinite banking, the concept to work in your life. Principle. If you violate that, then you're violating the performance and the accessibilities and the features of a properly designed whole life insurance contract. Period. Stop right there before you go any further. If you have problems saving money, if you're not a good saver, if you don't, quote unquote, pay yourself first, right? If you don't have that in place, me personally, my opinion, I don't think you should be doing infinite banking. My personal opinion. Just like with velocity banking, if I am in a negative cash flow position, if I have poor spending habits, if I'm running bills on a credit card but I'm not paying it off in full, there's a bunch of things that you're doing to harm the concept. And then when you violate rules and principles of a concept, understand that the concept doesn't die, right? The concept doesn't necessarily go bad. What happens is the concept hurts you, the user. So if you violate a law, the law will still be there, right? The law now violates you due to the consequences of you breaking that law or breaking that principle, okay? Just saying. Very, very important. So that is fundamental, extremely important. Now, product, whole life insurance product is the product that I'm using. Whole life insurance product, infinite banking, marketing term. Okay. I plan on funding $80,000 per year. Denzel, how'd you get to 80? 200,000 times 40%. Let me know what number you get. Put it in the comments. If it's this number, great. We're on the same page. Following my principles. Okay. So saving 40% minimum of my net cash flow per year, $80,000. So we got $80,000 total going into a whole life insurance contract. Of the $80,000, $20,000, so not $100K, of the 80, 20 is going towards premium. In other words, cost of insurance. COI. In other words, cost of insurance. With Guardian, I am getting a guaranteed 3% rate of return on the 80,000 on the money, right? Plus dividends. Dividends are not guaranteed, although with Guardian, for the amount of time that they've been in business, over 150 years, they have paid dividends every single year. So it's about as close to guaranteed as you can get when it comes to dividends, right? A dividend in this regard is literally a return of premium, which goes to the cash value, right? So 3% guaranteed plus dividends. The funding period is 50 years, okay? I am planning on starting this policy most likely around age 28 or 29. I'm currently 27. Right? I turned 27 this year. I turned 28 in the new year, January 4th. Lock that in your calendar in case you want to send me a gift, a present, anything, a thank you. Just saying, right? Just lock that in. So 28 or 29 is when I plan on getting this policy. And I'm going to explain why that is, right? So my funding period is 50 years. If you do 80,000 times 50 years, you will get $4 million. So over a 50-year period, I am planning on funding $4 million into one whole life insurance contract. Quite a bit of money. This is long-term thinking. Long-term thinking. So if I'm 28, 50 years later, I'll be 78 years old with $4 million funded into just one policy, right? Total premium in those 50 years, if you take 20K and times it by 50 years, you're going to get $1 million. So I paid in $4 million in principal dollars, and then in base premium dollars, base premium, 20,000 over 50 years, I paid in $1 million. Okay. This design here is a 25% base split and 75% going to cash value. So of the 80,000, we got 25% going to the base. We got 75% going to the cash value, which leads me to the next thing I want to share here, right? Next thing I want to share here, now that I gave you the rundown, 102 people in the house now. Welcome to those that just tuned in, right? You can rewind it back and still be watching live so that you get caught up, right? So I just gave you the breakdown of that particular design. What I'm now going to share with you, I just put this together real quick, is a infinite banking checklist, right? And again, if you want this, you can email me directly. Hey, Denzel is on the live stream. Can you please send me those documents, those Word docs? So this is the infinite banking checklist that I'm about to share with you, which are a list of questions that you're going to want to ask the agent that you're working with, and then questions you're going to want to ask yourself. This is going to equip you to be more assertive, confident when you're in a meeting with an agent. One thing I want you to understand and comprehend from the perspective of the insurance agent, their job is to sell you this whole life insurance product or a series of products in their arsenal. So there's a sales approach. There's also a education approach. So a good agent is going to sell you a product, preferably a good one. And on top of that, they're going to educate you on their philosophy that they're going to give to you to hopefully implement. So they need to educate you on their philosophy, their way of being, their way of behaving with this concept, and they're going to sell you, right? So when you come to the meeting, you need to know this so that you can prepare yourself to come to the table confident, ready, prepared, and you also want to be able to lead the conversation as the customer. And what's going to happen is there's going to be this healthy battle. I think it's a healthy battle. A conflicting battle is when there's arguments, but a healthy battle is when there's a nice, dialogue, right? A very, very, very healthy dialogue, maybe even some debate, right? But I want you as the customer to feel like you can come to the table equipped, prepared, ready, and also leading the conversation. Because you have to understand is the agent is also trying to lead the conversation to the sale, right? To close. It's important. This is your personal finances. These are your numbers. This is not a Mickey Mouse amount of money that we're putting into a life insurance policy. And even if it was a Mickey Mouse amount of money, it's still your money, right? So whether you're putting in $5,000 a year, $10,000 a year, $100,000 a year, $1 million a year, whatever it is, that's your money. Get educated. Know the principles. Don't fool around with this. You're going to have this for your whole entire life. Don't fool around. Let's have some good confidence. So now let me go ahead, share my screen here so that we can be on the same page. Infinite banking checklist. All right. Let me zoom in a little bit. All right. First couple of questions that you want to ask the agent just for you when you're in the conversation. And they'll probably start off with this anyway. But again, you want to lead the conversation when you get on that call. All right. And not lead where you take over the whole entire call, because you might turn off the agent. They just say, hey, I don't think we're a good fit. All right. So let me also clarify a couple things here. Let me just clarify a couple things. If you're working with any of the infinite banking players that I mentioned on that list, and then there's some within that, just know most of them don't need your business. So they're already in a pretty good position. They probably don't need your business. They don't want your headache. They don't want your complaints, right? They have no interest in working with people who are going to be combative, disruptive, conflicting, and just not, helpful, right? So when I say lead the conversation, don't lead in a way where you know more than everyone, right? Who wants to work with someone that knows everything, right? Or thinks they know everything and know nothing, right? Nobody wants to work with that kind of guy or gal, right? So let me just frame that. When I say lead, I want you to be confident, prepared, and ready to ask good questions to the agent. And if they don't have an answer to that question, more than likely they will say, okay, I'm going to go get the answer to that question, right? Because they want to help you succeed. They want to help themselves in closing that policy so they can get paid, right? But again, if you work with any of those players, they don't need your money in the first place, right? They're doing well. All right. Questions for the agent. Have them explain their process to you in detail. So a great way when you hop on that first introductory call with the insurance agent, you can just say, hey, before we get started, I want to thank you for your time in advance. And I want to just, have you explain to me your process in detail, just so that I'm on the same page with you, right? I don't want to get lost. So before we go into policy designs and rates of returns and guarantees and all the features of the policy itself, I want to get to know you and your process and your team in detail, just so that I can feel confident in working with you for the rest of my life. Because that's what this product is. It's going to be with you for your whole life. Hence the title of the product is whole life insurance. It's with you for your whole life, right? So that really frames the conversation. Within that, you're going to be asking yourself, do I have chemistry with the agent? Am I in alignment with this agent based on what they're telling me? What do they believe in? For example, let's say you're working with an agent that has no interest in real estate or no interest in investing in the stock market. And let's just say for however many years you've been living, you've been investing in real estate and investing in the stock market. And then that agent says, Real estate's dumb. The stock market's a scam. It's that. You should just buy gold and silver and, hope for the best. And you should just have all your income go into infinite banking. Just don't even deal with the stock market or any of that. You're already going to feel a little bit of tension. Like, wait a minute, is this even worth the next 45 minutes being on this call? So you get to immediately ask that second question. This guy doesn't believe in real estate investing and believes the stock market is a scam and it's, this and that and whatever, right? That's their opinion. And you have yours. You have your financial strategy. So that gives you permission to say, hey, you know what? I just want to say thank you for your time. I don't think we're going to be a good fit. That's it. And then you talk to the next agent that you do research on social media, on YouTube, whatever it is. Then you talk to this agent, and right off the bat, they're like, hey, real estate is number one for me. You got to have land. It's the first thing God gave man was land, right? The garden, land, real estate. Already in alignment with this guy. And then, hey, yep, stock market can be rigged. Here's how you can operate effectively, portion of your income. Here's some strategies I'm looking at. I use this one. I follow Ray Dalio. I follow this guy. I follow this guy. And those are the same people you follow, and maybe your portfolio looks like theirs, and boom, there's already chemistry. There's already alignment. That's really, really important. Because again, this is not someone you're doing business with for 1 week, one transaction. This is someone you're going to be with your whole entire life, right? The agent is likely the person, in case you pass away, that your spouse is going to call that person. It's going to call that agent. I just took it off the screen by accident. Okay. So do you have chemistry with the agent? All right. Ask that question. How does the agent handle objections and legitimate questions that you have? Hey, why does whole life make more sense than me putting my money in a bond or a money market account or a savings account? Right? These are legitimate questions. These are your concerns. How are they answering those questions? Are they giving you legitimate, historical data points, good answers that help you see things in a new light? Great. If not, that could be like one of your little red flags. I don't know. This guy doesn't really answer my questions. They beat around the bush. They give me a weird analogy about grocery stores, and then they're talking about, family bank again and how the banks are evil and all that. I don't know. Just answer my dang question. Right? So that's important. All right, next question. Will the agent take the time to hear your problems and concerns? Or are they going to talk past you towards the sell of infinite banking and not address your problems and concerns? Because if they don't address your problems and concerns, they will come up when you have the policy in place and you're funding it and something goes wrong. You're going to have buyer's remorse, right? You don't want buyer's remorse, because then you're going to find yourself canceling the policy, or maybe the policy is going to lapse because you didn't fully understand the product in the first place, because the agent didn't do a good job answering your problems and concerns. That's important. All right. Next question. Does the agent plan on being in the business for their whole career? I think this is important to know. Right? Is this just a stepping stone for them? Okay, if that's the case, you can still work with them. Let's say you want to help them. Let's say you're, real life example here. Let's say, hold on. Let me come back. Boom, boom, boom. All right. Let's say you're working with an 18-year-old, a 19-year-old, 20-year-old, a young guy, brand new in the industry, and they don't know much yet, but they have a team that's helping them, and you were a lead. You went into a funnel, a system, boom, you're now on a call with Henry. Henry's 18, 19 years old, brand new in the industry, no experience, doesn't even have a policy themselves. And you ask this question, hey, Henry, do you plan on being in the industry for your whole career? Henry says, no, I'm actually in college. This is my part-time sales gig so that I can start my own construction company one day, right? And you're like, okay, who's your manager? Who's your leader? I'll still work with you. I want to help you out, help you get through college. That commission is going to help you pay for college. Great. I want to see you be successful and start that construction company. But I also want to know who your upline is, who your manager is, just so I can get a relationship with them. Once you leave the industry, I want to know, who do I contact? Who do I talk to? If Henry's gone, that was my agent. Who do I talk to now? Right? That's important for you to understand as the customer. So you want to ask that question. Do they plan on being in the industry their whole entire life? Right? Very, very, very important. Good. So let's come back to the screen here. Last question. In case they leave the industry, who do you contact next? So that just kind of leads into that, right? So, okay, if you don't plan on being in this industry for your whole career, who can I contact to provide support on the policy or policies that you'll have in place, right? That's important. I have had many interactions with clients. Some of you are in the room here, right? And comment. Let me know if this is true. Many of you are in the room here where you had an agent, they left the industry, can't get a hold of them no more, don't know where they are, don't have their number, like you don't even know what's going on, right? And then you came to me, and now you're a client providing that support, helping you out with that policy or policies, right? Comment below if you're one of those people. Also, hit the like button if you've been in here for the last 50 minutes. There's 27 likes, 76 people watching. Let's get that number up to 76 for me. Would really, 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 really appreciate that. Cool. So with that being said, let's come back. All right. Framework. You guys like this? Framework. So those are the questions for the agent. Now for you. This is important. Before you even start a policy, before you even look at illustrations, before you even look at rate of return and dividends and positive arbitrage and loan interest rates, and before you look at any of that stuff, ask yourself this: am I thinking long-term or short-term? If I'm thinking long-term, that's going to influence how the policy is designed when I talk to the agent. If I'm thinking short-term, which just simply means that you're funding the policy for a shorter period of time, right? If you're going to fund a policy for a short period of time, say 7 years, say 10 years, that is going to influence how the policy is designed. Very, very important. What you don't want is to be thinking short-term and then you get a policy designed for the long term, and then vice versa. Get a policy that's designed for the long term, but you were thinking short term. Buyer's remorse can sink in later on. All right. So that's important. Next question for yourself. How much cash flow do you have per year? What is your minimum number you can pay in per year with your eyes closed? All right. That minimum number should be a percentage of what you save per year from your cash flow. Right? That's your baseline. Right? How much cash flow do you have per year? What is your minimum number, percentage number that you're saving that you can pay into the policy per year with your eyes closed? Then, what is the desired max amount you want to pay in per year? Right? So you'll have a minimum number and then you'll have a max number. Right? How long do you want to max fund? How long do you want to pay? And based on how long you say, will determine if that policy should be designed for the long term or for the short term. Finally, what is the strategy once the policy is fully funded? Right? And what is the strategy while you are funding the policy? So, if you plan on funding a policy for a short period of time, you probably don't want a high base premium. If you're only going to fund your policy for 7 years, 10 years, 14 years, right? That's a short period of time. Then you probably don't want a high base premium, high cost of insurance. Why? Because you're only thinking short term. You're only thinking, What's the most amount of money I can put into this policy? What's the most amount of cash value I can have up front, right? And use today to go do something with, right? That is short-term thinking. That is how I was thinking with my 2 first policies that I designed for myself, right? I was thinking minimum base premium, max cash value for my short funded policies that I have, right? Oh, really just one of them is short funded, okay? The other one is long, but it's a small amount, okay? Now, in addition to those questions, and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to look at the comments, all right? So I'll take another pause. Where I want to wrap up here, I think is super important. Let me go like this. Okay. So there are some other products and services that you should think of stacking on top of the policy growth as you grow with the policy, if that makes sense. Might have some grammatical errors there. Well, what I'm trying to say is your whole life insurance contract, using the words of Caleb, is a and asset. So it's an asset. It's the and asset because you can have whole life and a Roth IRA. You can have whole life and real estate. You can have whole life and it doesn't have to be or. You don't have to say whole life or Roth IRA. You don't have to say that. You can have both. All right. So some other products and services to think of as you're building your whole life insurance contract through the years. These are some things that you want to think of: health savings account, annuities, long-term care, disability income, Roth IRA, maybe self-directed, real estate investing, estate planning, legacy planning, wills and trusts, right? I think these are phenomenal products and services that enhance whole life insurance itself and the many different things, or I should say whole life enhances these products and then vice versa. These are great things to consider having in your portfolio as you're building your wealth vehicles, your multiple streams of incomes, leading you to financial freedom and prosperity and independence. Okay? And finally, once you've done all of that, now we should look at policy design to craft everything that we discussed here. So to customize that conversation between you and the agent, then it leads to policy design. Now, let me share this. This is part of my growth as a licensed life insurance agent. This is part of me growing, all right, part of me learning. I used to first provide policy illustrations to all of my clients. Whatever they said, hey, Denzel, show me funding 10K a year, 20K a year, whatever it is. Oh, I got this much money I want to put into the policy. Boom, I get their date of birth, right? First name, last name, send them an illustration, have them take a look at it. They have no idea what they're looking at for the most part. Comment below if you're that person. Comment below if you're a client of mine. You got a policy working with me, working with my partners, whatever the case may be. And that was the process where it's like we jumped on a call, right? And this is after already doing velocity banking. So you already have most of the principles that I'm saying in place. So maybe that's why I kind of skipped over a lot of different things. But essentially, I would lead with a policy illustration already in front of you. And then we're evaluating it together. And then I'm saying, this is what this means. And this is what that means. And this is what this means. This is what that means. Right? Moving forward, I am changing that a little bit. Not because it's bad what I was doing. I don't think it was bad. I just don't think it's as efficient as what my new process will be moving forward. So my new process moving forward is crafting that conversation and then figuring out, without giving them a perceived value of infinite banking, let me see where they're already coming from and how I can build on that and how that's going to pair very, very well with what they're doing. Okay. So I think that's super important. Super important. Super, super, super important. So let's come back. Share screen. Beautiful. So policy design, this refers to the amount of money refers to the amount of your money going to base premium and cash value. Policy design. This has a major impact in the agent's commission as well as your cash value performance in the short term and long term. Okay. Now, these are the most common policy designs that I have seen in the marketplace from all those infinite banking players that I mentioned and then some. This is what you will typically see, right? So the first number is referring to the base premium amount of dollars from the total amount of money that you're paying in. And then the second number refers to the total cash value. Okay? Total cash value, right? For me personally, I have done all of these kinds of designs right here. These are all of the designs over the years that I've designed for myself and helped clients design for themselves, working with different insurance agents. Okay. This was the range that I've typically been in, and I've never gone higher than that range. Okay. The next most common is the 40-60. This originates in the Nelson Nash community. The original design was a 33-67 split. So a third of the money going to cash, going to base premium, and 2/3 going to cash value. So I don't know where 40-60 eventually came from, but I was talking to some people that have worked with Nelson Nash directly, and originally it was a third of, say, 10,000 or 20,000, whatever it is, a third of it going to base premium, the other 2/3 going to cash value. Now, the next statement that I'm going to make is an opinion. It's an opinion. This isn't a fact, right? This is just my personal opinion that anything past 40% of your money going to base premium, in my opinion, is no longer infinite banking. You might be solving for a different purpose, right? Whatever that purpose is, I don't think it aligns well with infinite banking. And now I'm going to explain why that is, in my personal opinion. Now, what you need to know as a customer, potential client, is that the agent, I'm a licensed agent, any agent you talk to, we are being paid the majority of our income, right, comes from the base premium, right? So base premium, this is the agent's bread and butter. Bread and butter. An agent has an incentive, has a very, 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 very big incentive to increase your base premium as much as possible, right? So if we look at the industry as a whole, you have over 90% of licensed life insurance agents that do whole life, right? And maybe this number is wrong. Maybe 90% is wrong. Maybe I'm being too aggressive. Maybe it's a little bit less now. Maybe it's 85. Maybe it's 75. But a majority of licensed agents that sell whole life will have 100% of your money. So let's say $80,000. Right? Let's say I worked with agent 1. Right? Bob. Okay, let's call this guy Bob. So let's say I'm talking to Bob and I say, Bob, I want to pay $80,000 into a whole life insurance contract. Can you design me a policy? Great. Bob designs a policy, and he takes my $80,000 and he puts it all into base premium, 100%. Right? Now, let's say Bob's contract with the insurance company, right? With the insurance company is 100%. Let's say his commission contract is 100%, which means he will get paid 100% of my base premium. So the moment I pay Bob's design, and I pay it $80K, Bob is going to get a paycheck for $80,000. One policy. Right? Pretty insane. So Bob's going to get a paycheck for 80 grand, and when I put my 80 grand into his whole life insurance contract, I will have $0, $0.00 in cash value the first year and more than likely the second year. So that means I paid an 80 the first year, I got nothing. Pay an 80 the second year, I got nothing. There probably won't be any money till year 3, 4 with that kind of design. So this is something important that you should know. Now, I've had conversations with agents, and again, there's some analogies out there that I thought were pretty cool. You know, I had the honor of speaking with Jason Lowe out of Canada area, very, very big in the infinite banking world. And he hit me with a line. I was like, oh, that's a pretty good line. Where he was like, when you go into a grocery store, do you ask the manager or the owner of the grocery store what he makes on the products that he sells to you? No, I was like, no, I don't really think about that. Nope. I never walked into Publix and asked the manager what the CEO and what y'all are making on the products that I'm overpaying for, or even at Whole Foods. No, I'm not asking that, right? Now, that's a good analogy, in my opinion. It's a pretty good analogy, all right? Comment below if you agree with that. Is that a good analogy? Like, are you walking into Whole Foods? Are you walking into Publix and wondering who the managers and the C-suite executives are making from your dollars that you're investing in the grocery store to get the groceries that you need to eat, to feed your family? No. The analogy is good, although when we're now talking about saving money, combination of investing money, financial products and services, I think that does change, especially if the commission has an effect on the performance of what I'm looking for. Now it's important. Whether the manager at Publix gets paid $100,000 or $200,000, whatever the C-suite executive is getting paid at Publix, I'm still going to buy my avocados and my strawberries and my milk and the food that I need. I'm still going to have to get it. I don't have an option. But in the financial world, I have options. I have many options. I don't have to go to this agent. I can go to that one to get me what I want. So you have the luxury as a customer to go with whomever you want that will give you exactly what you want, right? I think that's important. So, Bob, I don't want to do business with Bob because Bob, I don't think, understands infinite banking, in my opinion. Now, I go to Sue, and Sue writes me a whole life insurance contract, and she took my $80,000 and she put 60% in the cash value, and she put 40% in the base premium. So 80,000 times 40%. The base premium is $32,000, right? $32,000. let's say her contract is also for 100% times 100%. She's getting $32,000. Now, unless Sue works with an agency and maybe she has to split that commission 2-3 different ways, whatever it is, 32 grand is going to her and her team regardless. All right. So Bob was going to get paid 80 grand. Sue is going to get paid 32,000 from my 80K. Right. So far, I like Sue more than Bob. So far. Because day one, I'm going to have around 60,000, maybe less. No, I'll probably have around maybe 50-ish or so thousand, somewhere around that number. I'm going to have way more cash value up front day one, year one, than what Bob wrote me for my 80 grand. Are you guys following me so far? We clear on this? Comment below. Right? Clear? So Bob's going to get an $80,000 paycheck. Sue's going to get paid $32,000. All right. Now, Dave, right? Dave's got a policy for me where he did 25% going to base premium and 75% to cash value. So $20,000. His contract is 100%, let's say. So he's getting a $20,000 paycheck. Now, we can go down and down and down all the way down to 1090, and in some cases 5% with certain insurance companies. You can go all the way down, right, to around 5%. You can't go to zero where you have 100% of your money going to cash value. You can't do that because that violates some of the rules with whole life insurance. But you can go as low as 5%. Now, is that wise? I don't know. I think it depends. Right? If we're thinking short term, meaning you're only going to fund this policy for like 10 years, a quick 10 pay, a 15 pay, a 20 pay, a 5 pay, a 7 pay, a 3 pay, a 1 pay, why pay a high amount in costs to do something that could be done with a much lower base premium if we're thinking short term? But if we're thinking long term, funding a policy for a long period of time, having a higher base premium allows, right? So it's not even a matter of opinion. Like, the longer you go in terms of funding a policy, the higher the base premium has to be in order for you to fund for a really, really long period of time. Does that make sense? So it's not even a matter of opinion. It's literally like, if you're going to fund a policy for 50 years, like what I'm planning to do, the base premium has to be higher, right? It just has to be in order to supply the required death benefit. Because the amount of money that you're putting into a policy has direct correlation to the amount of death benefit required to allow for that, because you can't have the cash value exceed the death benefit. Super important, right? Or else it becomes what's called a modified endowment contract, which then you essentially destroy the tax-free benefits of the policy itself. So it messes up that whole thing. So I wanted to share that with you. I think that's extremely important, that agent commissions does have an effect on cash value performance. Like, it does. That's a fact. We know that. Now that you know that as a customer, you get to then go through the process. Hey, what's your process? How do you design policies? You know, hey, I'm looking to fund this policy for my whole entire life. Then you're probably going to be more in alignment with like Dave or Sue, right? And somewhere in that neighborhood, right? But you probably don't want to do business with Bob because you're going to wait forever to have your money break even, and you're not going to be able to use all that money. You're not going to be able to use that money while you're living in the early years to go do certain moves, right? So in my infinite banking journey, when I first designed my first two policies, I was thinking short term. I wanted to have the minimum base premium required for the amount of money that I was putting in, and I wasn't planning on funding for a long period of time, right? So I'll give you an example. I have a Guardian policy right now that I'm funding $70K per year, right? My base premium is $7,000. So $70K per year, and I illustrated funding for just 7 years. So that's only a total of $490,000. This is short-term thinking, right? If I try to take this policy and solve for long-term purposes, this is no longer a properly designed policy. Does that make sense? Right? So it's not that infinite banking did me wrong or the agent did me wrong. It's my own thinking that needed to improve. So this is me. This is me thinking in the short term, trying to solve for long-term purposes. And that is not effective, which then prompted me to say, okay, I need to start a third policy. So this policy will be fully funded when I'm 28 or 29 years old, right? I'm in year 5 right now. So yeah, 29, this will be fully funded, right? So by 29, fully funded. Now, when I hit year 7, and then it's year 8, right? I'm not going to be able to pay in $70,000 anymore. That's going to reduce. The max that I will be able to pay in, I think, will be around $28,000 for year 8, and I can probably do that for about maybe 3 to 5 years, right? And then it'll go down to a minimum of the $7,000 base premium plus 1x in the PUA, so for a total of $14,000. So I will only be able to pay in $14,000 after like year 10, 11, 12 or something like that for the duration of the policy. Well, you know, when I was first starting the YouTube channel in 2018, 2019, my income 10x'd, right? And my income kept increasing, right? So I did 283 in 2019, then it went to 464, then it went down to 330. And then I'm like, okay, now I'm in this space where I'm doing multiple 6 figures. I'm 27 years old now. Do I plan on making less money as I get older? Or do I plan on making more money as I get older? Well, that's an easy answer, Denzel. You plan on making more money. You're going to have to make more money, right? In order to cover my cost of living and all the other things that come with being a business owner and eventually having a family, raising kids, and et cetera, et cetera. So why would I stop funding my policy? This was a question that I couldn't answer clearly, right? And I had the privilege of talking with Caleb and his team, Better Wealth, and Jason Lowe, and others at the And Asset that are just brilliant minds. And I'm like listening to other content creators, and I'm even Chris Kirkpatrick, Life 180. And I'm like, yeah, why would I stop funding my own banking system to only fund it for a period of time and then stop? The only reason that I had was a simple preference. It's a preference, but it's not a good enough, like, rock solid answer. It's just saying, I just prefer to just pay into this thing for like 7 to 10 years, stop, not, be obligated to a high base premium, it's safe. This line of credit will keep increasing. The cash value will just keep increasing at that guaranteed rate. And then I can go get a cash value line of credit. I'll have like a $3, $4, $500,000 line of credit that I can use for real estate investing, my business, and that kind of thing. And that's the extent of my thinking, and that was it. But if I keep making multiple 6 figures and then going to 7 figures and then 8 figures and 9 figures, where the heck am I going to store that money? In my checking account? In my savings account? In a bond? In a money market account? I got to store that money somewhere. And I might as well take a portion, a healthy portion, a percentage amount. Again, my percentage being 40%. I might as well take a percentage of my net cash flow and store that in tax-free vehicles, right? So that has been my growth and evolution lately, where now I'm like, okay, the next policy I design, I'm funding this all the way into my 80s and 90s, right? And in order to do that, you need to have a higher base premium. So there you go. That's the first policy. Now the second policy, this one I can only pay up to $490,000, being the max amount. And then over, let's say this is at 23, 29. So let's say from 75 minus 29, so 46. And then we'll minus 5. 41 times, say, 14,000 is only 574K. And then 28,000 times 5 is 140,000. So 140 plus 574 plus 490 plus 140. So with this policy, the max I can pay into here is roughly around this number, 1.2 mil for this one policy. This policy I can pay in $4 million. Is $1.2 million saved enough for the lifestyle that I'm trying to build? And the answer is no. So I'm going to need another one. Now, what's the benefit of thinking long term? Well, had I been thinking long term at 23 years old, when the death benefit was cheaper and the insurance cost was cheaper and I could get more money in at that lower rate, health benefits. So that is the pro of thinking long term. To think long term, I need a higher base premium. So if I'm willing to get past that, my base needs to be a little higher to support that long-term thinking, then I would have been better off financially. But now that I'm 27, when I'm 29, and this is fully funded and this is in place, this is going to be more expensive than this based on death benefit required, et cetera, because I'm older. Right? So the insurance cost continues to go up and up and up. So if I continue to think long term, that will phase me better than when I think short term, which is why I believe infinite banking, the word infinite, there's an infinite amount of potential within this strategy. So that is it with that. Let me take a quick break here and look at some questions to see how are we doing. About an hour and a half in, I've given you the framework so far. Now I'm going to go into the strategy. Before I go into the strategy, let me see what some of you guys are saying. See if we're on the same page. All right, love your list. Cool. Good morning, Prince. I think it's important to recognize that dividends are tax-free. Yep. Treated as return of excess premium for mutual companies. Yep. Why wouldn't you use an IUL policy instead, Pamela? I believe there's inherent risk within an IUL that I don't have to deal with a whole life insurance contract. So the way I have interpreted an index universal life insurance policy It's like a glorified investment account where I'm purchasing index options and I'm getting a tax-free rate of return on my money. Okay? That part sounds great. No doubt. That part sounds great. But I had the honor and privilege, Pamela, of being able to hear from some of the top leaders in the IUL space. And here is what they educated me on. They said that a IUL requires more attention on a year-by-year basis, right? So what you have to understand about the IUL, Pamela, this is not a set and forget. Some people are looking for a set and forget location to safely store savings dollars, right? So there is inherent risk in this IUL policy that we can't ignore, right? We can't ignore it. What are those inherent risks? Well, there are fees, there are costs that do not stay the same. So fees and costs change over time. We can't ignore that, Pamela. When I'm taking savings dollars, if I was willing to invest with inherent risk of the other 200K, right? So of my 200K minus 80,000, that's 120,000. 120,000, that money, yeah, I'll put at risk, right? For a rate of return. Or I can put my 120 into my own business. Instead of the S&P 500 and the index, I can invest in the S&Me 500 and create more value. So instead of fighting for rates of returns, I could probably get a much higher rate of return on my money. So that's something that I had to process for myself. But when it comes to money that I don't want to lose, right? And this is like the top leaders in the IUL space were at the End Asset Mastermind. And they were saying that, coming from their own words, there's some inherent risk, not a set and forget. Fees change over time, and you have to maintain this. It requires maintenance in this account. So you have to have a good relationship with the IUL agent to help you navigate the different indexes and things like that, right? So that's just a quick thing, Pamela. I won't spend too much time on it. It's just when we're talking savings dollars, right? That's all we're talking about here. Savings dollars. I don't want to have any of my savings dollars at risk, right? I need that money to continue to grow. I don't need it to grow a crazy amount, right? I just need it to consistently grow, right? Prince says because market fluctuations can cause cash value to vary tremendously, and Prince is correctly right on this, right? Absolutely correct. How we doing? Friends don't sell friends in IUL. Funny, Andre. Whole Life has the most guarantees. It's a good argument. Can you say your email address so we can request a copy of that checklist? Yeah, just scroll up in the comments. It's in there. I put it in there. You can also look at the links. Go directly to my website. Contact me. I'll send you that. Whole life insurance. Okay. Bad idea to introduce risk in an insurance policy, which all varieties of UL does. Yes, defeats the purpose of the contract. Okay, good. Wisdom, boom. Glad you grew out of that. Yeah. There's no cash value. Okay. Wealth, Wisdom, Financial. I didn't put them on the list. All right. That's an old list. They're under Bank on Yourself umbrella of content creators. Being able is so important. Yes. The best money you have is the money you control. Absolutely. A low death benefit cuts off the most important part of the policy. The end of the policy is infinitely more important than the beginning. Absolutely true. Your funding period should be as long as possible. Agreed. Absolutely. Ideally, your funding period should extend past your lifetime. I do find it interesting how people will ask about my commission, but the same client never questions the costs on 401k and things of that nature. The main thing is to be consistent. That is true. Yeah. Like, help your client understand that there's commissions, there's fees, there are costs in all financial products and services. And I think having this understanding of what it does, what effect does it have, will, I believe, help create an even better relationship between the agent and the client. And that's what I've experienced. I'm like, here's what the commission would be if I did this way. Here's what the commission would be if I did that way. Here's what it'd be. Your base premium should eventually increase in the future. Less than 1% of the policies I've seen does this, typically of those that devalue the death benefit. Your base premium should eventually increase in the future. Your base premium with an IUL, Andre? Because with a whole life, your base premium stays the same. Whether it's a 40-60 split, 10-90 split, whatever it is, that base premium always stays the same. So help me with that. Hello, Tony. When you get it, you will want to fund your whole life. It's right there in the name of the contract. Absolutely. Thank you. The heart of a teacher. I love your transparency. It's honor. Blessing to business. Okay. Love it. Thank you so much for this content. Okay. 64 people in the house, 48 likes. For the difference of people that haven't liked the video yet, please go ahead and like the video. Get that number up for me. Appreciate that. If you're enjoying getting a ton of value from this content, let's recap. Got to know your numbers, right? What are we looking at? Whole life insurance contract, infinite banking concept. You need to have a principal amount of money that you want to save, minimum, per year. Then we go to the two documents. We went over policy designs. We went over the questions that you want to ask the agent, questions you want to ask yourself. And we talked about other products and services that you want to think about in addition to your whole life insurance contract, like HSA, like annuities, like long-term care, disability, Roth IRA, real estate, estate planning, legacy planning, wills, and trusts. These are all things that you're eventually going to want to really consider, right? So now we'll go into the strategy of this particular policy and how I'll be operating, right? On top of the existing policies that I have in place. Okay? So far, I have one whole life where I'm funding $15K. Another whole life that I mentioned earlier that I'm funding $70K. This number will eventually drop to $14K. This number will actually stay the same, $15K. It's a small number. My third whole life will be $80K, right? And it'll stay that way for at least 50 years. So thinking very, very, very long term. All right. So that is how I'm saving money. All right. Now, a couple things. What is my strategy to financial freedom and independence, leveraging velocity banking and infinite banking process in 2023 and moving onward? Okay. So because I've been funding policies for 5 years now, I've been able to build up a significant amount of cash value. So I went ahead and acquired a cash value collateral line of credit. CVCLI for short. Cash value collateral line of credit, right? Oh no, it's really just CVL, right? Cash value collateral line. Cool. So I used a personally owned whole life to get a business line of credit. My credit limit is going to be $261,000, and I'm going to be at a simple interest rate of 6.25% for 1 year, locked in. So fixed rate of 6.25% for 1 year. Then it goes to a variable, simple interest rate. $261,000 is a credit limit. On the business line, this will be how I do velocity banking. So this is my velocity banking debt tool. And I'm going to do velocity banking to pay off the 124. So I've had 124 in policy loans. I did another video that you can see where I broke down my whole entire strategy where I was at 133,000. That number has come down, and that number will get paid off really, really fast. And I'll do it again. So I am running a business. So I have a business, all right? And I was doing this with my ministry group last night and sharing with them King Solomon's business model. Okay? King Solomon's business model was that he obtained wisdom first. He then converted that wisdom to provide value in the marketplace. And the way he provided that value in the marketplace was being a paid speaker, coach, consultant. He was a judge, right? So he's a speaker, a coach, a consultant. He probably had a course. He probably did seminars, workshops, masterminds, and all the people of the earth, all the kings of the earth at that time gave Solomon a lot of money, paid him millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars for his wisdom that he converted into value, that he converted into the marketplace, that he converted into products and offers and services to help other kings build their kingdoms and other people create financial freedom in their life, prosperity, abundance, that kind of a thing. So that's my business model. So I'm taking that business model. I'm a speaker, I'm a coach, I'm a consultant. I do seminars, I do workshops, I do live events. I speak, I train, I am a teacher, I'm an educator. I get wisdom. I then convert that wisdom into value. I then convert that value in the marketplace. I then convert the value into an offer into the marketplace in the form of speaking, coaching, consulting, educating, teaching, right? And I'm multiplying the fruit. So my formula for this, is I'm being productive in my work. So I'm being fruitful, right? Then I am simply multiplying. So back to your point, Pamela, about IUL. IUL provides a rate of return. I'm interested in multiplication when it comes to creating more. And then I stick the multiplied money that I created out of thin air, and I stick a portion of that into a location that's going to give me a guaranteed safe rate of return to protect the fruit that I'm continuously building in my garden, in my harvest, in my household economy. So being productive, I'm multiplying, and then I'm replenishing, which simply means to reinvest. So I'm reinvesting the seed of my work before I spend my seed. I reinvest it multiple times over, right? And then I subdue, right? Control. I control my money. I control the marketplace. I dominate. I rule over it, right? Carving out my niche. And this is a recipe for dominion, which means to dominate over everything, right? So that's my formula for King Solomon's business model that I really appreciate that he talked about. It's really good. You should check it out. And then the way I go about doing that. So now I gave you the formula, the business model. Now I want to give you the practicality of the actual function of how money flows, how the flow of my money goes, right? So I and you and we all in this room generate income. The income that I generate goes into a business account. Business checking. Right? Which then, that money pays operational expenses, which then pays me a salary. I am operating as an S Corp, right, of this particular business. Got operational expenses, generating a salary. That salary goes into cash value life insurance. Cash value life insurance, right? So my salary goes into cash value life insurance. Once I've paid operational expenses, as well as the salary paying my personal expenses in my personal checking account. Once that is done, there's cash flow, right? And I'm doing a minimum of 40%. 40% of net cash flow, right, was my number. The other 60% is going back into the business that I'm building to become a better speaker, a better coach, a better consultant, a better person at doing workshops and seminars and Q&As, right? And continuing to obtain wisdom, right? That's the model. Cool. Follow me there. Now, with infinite banking alone, what I plan on doing with the funds that gets into this policy, right? So once I have cash value, because I have this line of credit here, every time I fund my different policies that is increasing the cash value, I go to the bank that I'm working with, which by the way is Valley Bank. So I'll just put that right here. Valley Bank is who I currently work with. Every year I can increase the credit limit up to 95% of what I have in total cash value to increase my credit line to give me more capital each and every year. So the same money I am saving is getting used again while that same money is growing at a guaranteed tax-free rate of return, safe, liquid, right? And available. Clear on that? Cool. So funding, I produce, I'm productive in my work, I'm productive, I'm profitable. Before I spend my seed, I save a big portion. I store it in high cash value life insurance, whole life, where I'm getting a guaranteed tax-free, liquid, accessible rate of return with a death benefit. All right. I then collateralize it with a business line of credit that I can use to multiply the work that I'm doing to expand. Hence, example, take Christy Van, for example. Everybody know Christy Van in the comments? Go ahead. Yep. No, I know Christy Van. Fantastic. Her YouTube channel, right? She now has over 63 or 64,000 subscribers. She was originally a client of mine. She had no subscribers, no followers. Nobody knew who she was. She was doing velocity banking. She had a passion to teach velocity banking. I teach, I spoke, I coach, I consulted. She is now off to the races. So I'm multiplying myself, right? To help many more people. Okay. So now, cash value goes in, funding it. From the cash value that grows, it will feed the business line of credit. And then remember those products and service I was talking about? So let's start with HSA account, right? We can pay up to $3,650 now, I believe. Oh no, it's $3,850. I think it's $3,850 now. So with my business line of credit, the same money that I'm saving, which is the $80K, on top of 15 grand and the 14 grand, that net cash flow that the other cash flow of the 120, so 200K minus 80K, that 120 that gets invested in the business, I'm also putting it into other financial products and services and vehicles that's going to keep expanding and protecting the kingdom that I'm building, right? Protecting the household economy that I'm building. So we got the HSA, that's going to grow, okay? That HSA, for now, purchases gold and silver. Excuse me. Sorry about that. I had to sneeze. So gold and silver. Then it'll go, as it grows enough, then I'm going to transition to gold back leasing. Then once it grows to 50K plus, then my HSA will invest in real estate. Okay? It'll invest in real estate. So that's HSA. $3,850. That goes up by like $50, $100 each and every year. Then I'll have a brokerage account to invest in the market because I don't mind. I will put a little bit in there. Right? Gonna do real estate. Just write business. Continue to build the business, multiply the business. And I'm going to acquire disability income, long-term care, all these different things, right? So now, one thing that I want to add to my infinite banking process, thinking long-term, I want to focus on long-term care a little bit, and I want to talk about annuities a little bit. I think this is interesting. With the base premium dollars, 1 million, 20K, over 50 years, that'll be $1 million, right? With a whole life insurance contract, you're able to withdraw up to $1 million completely tax-free without doing a loan, right? So there's a lady named Kim Butler that I learned this from. She talked about doing, her strategy was annuitizing your whole life insurance contract, where you can pull out a lump sum of money out of your whole life insurance contract, throw it into an annuity, right? And get a higher guaranteed rate of return for a period of time, and then lifetime income, right? Which is pretty interesting, because now it's like I got two vehicles that I just built from one. So what I want to do, I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to show you the actual illustration of the policy that I'm most likely going to put in place with Guardian. All right, so let's do that real quick. Pretty sure you guys can see this. So try to zoom in. So you can see death benefit, total funding, $80K a year. I'm going to go to the actual illustration of this thing. A lot of information there. It's good to really read over all of this. It's really good. Read through it with your agent. Okay. No, not that one. Okay, here we go. So 27 annual premium, right? 80,000 a year. Death benefit 8.395 million. Starting cash value 53,000. Okay? I have no intention of borrowing the money in the first year or even the first couple of years. This money's just going to cook, just going to build. What I am going to do is use that as collateral to increase my business line of credit. So I don't actually have to borrow from the money. I just get the line of credit, increase it, and the money keeps growing there untouched. All right, pretty cool. So we keep funding this bad boy, and I want to go all the way out by age 76. So this is showing me funding for 50 years starting at 27. Like I said, most likely we'll start at like 28, 29. So it'll be more like 77, 78. But we'll just stick to this right now. So let's say I make it to the healthy age of 76. By that point in time, I'll have around 8.1 million net cash value. And notice how my death benefit grew. 10.75 mil. Right? So the death benefit grew along with the growth of the cash value. Not bad at all. Right? And this is actually looking at a like a medium performance would be here. This is based on non-guarantees with the current dividend rate being 5.75%. So it could be as high as $22 million being the death benefit with a cash value of 17 mil. And then the guaranteed, right? If all I did over 50 years was pay into this, and all they gave me was that guaranteed rate of return of 3% with no dividends ever paid, then my death benefit would be at 8.395 million with 2.2 million. So that's a big difference, right? In terms of guaranteed cash value, death benefit versus actually getting the dividends. And again, insurance company has paid their dividends out well over 100 plus years, so I'm not worried about that. So we're looking at nearly 17 million in cash value, between 8 and 17 million in cash value, 22 and 10.75 million in cash value. That's a lot of money. Okay? So from this amount, all right, this is what I'm learning about. I'm not totally educated in this yet, When I get to this age, we can do tax-free income all the way into my 70s, 80s, and 90s. Right? Let's say I make it to 100. Right? Death benefit. Say I die at 94, it's a $44 million payout. That's pretty insane. One policy. That's thinking long term. Right? That's thinking very, very, very long term. All right. So let's come back to the board. So what I am thinking about doing here, and this is where I'm getting my thinking from, a lady named Kim Butler. Okay. Kim Butler is one lady I'm getting my thinking from. And then this guy right here, Tom Wall, wrote a book called Permission to Spend, Maximize Your Retirement with the Best Kept Secret in Personal Finance. Okay. That's where I'm getting my thinking from. I'm processing it, and I'm going to see how it plays out. What Tom Wall talks about, the reason why infinite banking is a big part of my process here, right, is in addition to growing my money tax-free and all that wonderful stuff, here's another big benefit, okay? This infinite banking, or I should just say whole life insurance, is my buffer volatility vehicle. Okay? This is going to help with the sequencing of returns. Now, this is extremely big right here. And I'm going to give an example. What can I erase? I'll do it here. All right, so I'll erase this. All right. Gave you all that. This is what I'm thinking. This is what my mind is processing. Buffer volatility vehicle, sequencing of returns. If you've never heard of this, put this in the comments. Buffer volatility vehicle, have you ever heard that term before? And sequencing of returns. If you've never heard of that before, put it in the comments. I'm new to that. And I'm gonna explain it here in a second. Right? But I just want to see, before I go any further, because I know I just went really deep. All right, we've got 66 people in the house, 63 likes. For the 4 people that did not like the video yet and you're enjoying it, please hit the like button. All right. Are you guys enjoying yourselves? You guys getting a lot of value from this? All right, let me read some comments. Andre, you can increase the base. I'll find out. You're going so fast, probably. Okay, awesome. William, I have a $220 a month premium. My PUA cap is $560 a month policy. I can do a 1035 exchange to a better policy with a higher MEC limit. You can. That is a possibility. Or you keep that policy and just start a new one, right? Depending on where you're at. Denzel, what percentage of your income from your business is dividends? Very small percentage, right? Very small percentage of my income is coming from dividends. Majority of my income is currently from activity. So at least 50% or more of my income is coming from activity work that I do. And then a good 40% of my income is coming from affiliate referral marketing. So I'm talking about other people's businesses. My clients go and buy products and services from those businesses, and then I receive a commission for that lead, for that referral. All right. Okay, you guys follow. Okay, cool. Boom. No solo 401k yet. I have no desire to have a 401k in my portfolio. So that's just part of my strategy. I have no intention of getting that. I personally don't see the benefit in having one, although I could be wrong, right? I could be wrong. Solo IRA. S Corp gives you access to solo 401k. Fire. This is really good. Okay, new to that, loving this. Should be about 75% out of your S corp. Okay, you were talking about the money that comes out, right? I think you're referring to that. Okay, so we're good. Let's go to the strategy now of what I'm thinking about as I'm saving my money in a tax-free location using whole life insurance policies now. Once they're fully funded, I can withdraw the base premiums in cash, tax-free, no loans, and then I can move that money into an annuity contract and get lifetime income, so I can prolong that money even longer, and that can also get transferred into estate planning as well, if I'm not mistaken, right? Now, the other really unique part about having a whole life insurance contract fully funded in your late 60s, in your retirement years, the golden years and all that, is you can have what's called this buffer volatility vehicle. So let's just say, for example, people in the room here, most of you have 401ks, right? And you guys got IRAs. These accounts are investing in the stock market, which has risk. You can lose money. So let's just say, for example, person A, right? Let's do person A. We'll do person B. Person A, with your 401k and IRA, let's say there's $2.5 million built up. Person B also has $2.5 million built up. And they hit 65 years old and they've retired from their work, right? From their career, retired. Both 65 years old. Okay. Let's say one person has term life. Person B has whole life. And in their whole life policy, maybe they were able to build up $1 million in cash value. And with this person, they've been paying term, and maybe they have, I don't know, like $2 million in death benefit or something like that. They're big policy that they're paying for. Okay. And then eventually that'll expire, obviously, and then they'll just reroute the funds because they decided to buy term and invest the difference, right? So they decided to buy term, invest the difference. You know what? Maybe I should say that this person has more money. I'll give them, let's do that instead. This person A, has $3.5 million because they decided to buy term and invest the difference. Person B invested and they put money in whole life insurance. So it's their and asset. They have $1 million in cash value here. This person has $3.5 million in the market. All right. Let's say at age 65, both of them lose 20% of their account, right? They lose 20%. Right before they're going to start drawing income, they're going to do, let's say we're going to do the 4% withdrawal rule. So 2.5 million times 4% would be 100 grand income for person B. Person A is $3.5 million times 4% rule. They have 140,000 in income. Okay. Now, person A and person B both lose 20% in their 401ks and their IRAs, right? So 3.5 mil times 20% loss, they lose 700 grand in the first year. At age 65, market crashes, 07, 08 repeats again, right? When they're 65. And you can't tell me this won't happen. This can very, 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 very well happen. I know people who are 59 years old today that lived through 07, 08, and they lost over 40% of their retirement. And I know people that are in their late 50s and 60s now that lived through COVID and their accounts dropped tremendously and then went back up and then went down, and now it's being a little weird. Okay. So you can't tell me it won't happen. It will absolutely happen. Right? This is insane. So this is a legitimate example here of potentially losing money. So this person loses 700,000. Person B, 2.5 mil times 20% loss, they lose 500,000. Right? Person A needs to withdraw income. So in addition to losing $700,000, based on the 4% withdrawal rule at 3.5 million, they would have pulled out 140,000. Right? So let's just say at the top of the year, they withdrew $140,000, and in addition, they lose 20% of their account value. So it would be 3.5 million minus $700,000 minus 140,000, right? Over the course of a 12-month period. So their account goes down to $2,666,000. Person B sees that the market is crashing, so maybe they were withdrawing from the 100,000 is their 4% rule divided by 12. So let's say, January they take out $8,300. February they take out $8,300. March, boom, market tanks 12%. Instead of them withdrawing $8,000 again in March and for the rest of the year, because they just lost 12% of their account, or 15% and 20%, whatever the number is, they could tap into their whole life policy that has $1 million in cash value, right? So let's just say 2.5 mil, we lost 500 grand. So at age 65, at the end of 12 months, 2.5 went to 2 mil. So now they're at $2 million. And they didn't withdraw the full 100K from the account. And instead, they pulled the difference, or maybe 100 grand, from their cash value life insurance policy instead. Tax-free, by the way. So, because both of these people only need, let's say, $100,000 to live off of at age 65, let's just say, which is probably not even the case, but roll with it for right now. At 140,000, they're gonna get taxed on that 140. So in addition to losing 700 grand, you're also getting taxed on the 140. So you're only netting a percentage of that 140. Over here, because they saw the market tanking and decided not to withdraw the full 100, if they pull from the policy, they only need to withdraw what they need per month to live off of. Hence, buffer volatility vehicles. This is a guaranteed vehicle that's going to keep growing no matter what they pull out. The money won't run out, right? In that period, I don't have to worry about losing money in addition to withdrawing money. That's what I wanted to say. Eventually, the money will run out if I keep pulling from it and not adding back into it. But essentially, I don't have to worry about losing the net 1 mil. Both have $3.5 million, right? One lost 700,000 plus 140, so 940,000 is going to, or 840,000 is going to get spent. So now they're at 2.66. Over here, 2.5 became 2, $500,000 loss. And instead of withdrawing 100 grand, maybe net they only need 80,000 to live off of, so they only pull 80,000 out of the whole life. So now we were at 3.5 million in total cash spread out, minus 500,000, minus 80,000. I'm at 2.92. This person's at 2.66. What's the savings? It's a $260,000 difference in savings. Person A and person B, same age, same amount of money, just split up into different accounts. And because person B had a buffer volatility vehicle and they know how to sequence their returns more efficiently than person A, because person A is just withdrawing money. It's all they have to withdraw from. Person B has the option where they split their 3.5 mil, 2.5 in here, 1 million in cash value, and they were able to net a savings of 260,000 preserved in potential losses. They kept it, right? They kept it. That's huge. So now let's say the following year, right? This person's at 2.66, and let's say they were recovering and we lost 20% and then we earn 15%, right? So if we earn 15%, that's $399,000, right? Good luck getting that rate of return the following year, right? If the market averages 9%, whatever the case may be, minus fees, minus costs, minus taxes, right? You're netting much less than the accumulated value. Then over here, 2 million times 15% is 300,000. So we go from 2. So we're at 2.3 million in the account that it grew to. And then in that year, say they withdraw the 100K. They withdraw the 100K. Watch this. This is what I would do at this age. If I withdraw 100K from my 401k as income, I would personally then deposit a majority of that money into my policy, pay back the 80K, and then live off of that, borrow out of that, pay the taxes, right? Pay back the policy and then borrow it out again to live off of it. And then what's basically happening is, if you were to play this out, person B is simply avoiding loss on top of withdrawing money from an account that loses money. Versus person A, they're going to keep withdrawing money of whatever they need to live off of, but they're not realizing that when they suffer market losses, their account is draining faster. It's going to take a lot longer and a higher rate of return to make up for the $700,000 loss. And we can make the assumption that the market is going to produce a negative every couple of years, maybe every 4 to 7 years. Market goes down, market goes up, market goes down, market goes up. So from age 65 to 90, how many times can I expect the market to produce a negative rate of return? Right? So 90 minus 65 is 25 years divided by, say, 5. So I can expect maybe 5 potential losses from age 65 to age 90. Right? So not only did whole life serve this person in their accumulation years, maybe they use it to acquire real estate and all these different things that I'm mentioning here, but then also in the distribution phase. And that's what I'm learning from this book, Permission to Spend, from Tom Wall. Right? And I heard him speak, and he was giving these phenomenal analogies and historical returns, and he was just showing how, look, in anyone's personal portfolio, financial freedom vehicle, whatever they're building, having this a buffer volatility vehicle, and then knowing how to sequence your returns properly, where it's like, okay, if you're seeing the market tank or go down, instead of pulling income from one area, you could pull it from the whole life policy. You could pull it from, a Roth, HSA, right? And then if you have these other vehicles that we build along the way, like real estate and a business, we can pull cash flow from those businesses or from the real estate instead. And we're able to preserve the money that's at risk, that's getting those higher rates of returns along the way. Questions, concerns? Where are you guys at? Was this good? Did I fry your brain? So I fried mine a couple of times when I was like going deep into this and just understanding the concept of having a buffer volatility vehicle in your personal finances. And when you reach that age where you're taking income from your fruits, from your labor, from your works, to know how to properly sequence those returns. Very, very important. Let me get some comments. All right. So we talked about, okay, we're going back and forth on the solo 401k. All right, so you're convincing me. I'm going to look into it. I know I got a business partner that has one, so you can own real estate in a solo 401k. That's cool. Self-directed, of course. Dividends, okay. What your CPA isn't telling you, okay, cool. Oh, Mark Kohler, I'm familiar. How contributing just a few dollars a day to a Roth IRA can help you live large. Must read for all millennials. Yep, I agree. Cool. The IBC benefits are just innumerable. Yes, it's infinite, hence the word infinite banking. There's just like an infinite amount of possibilities that we can do with this. This is just like really powerful to me. And the thing that we really need to take some time in, especially if we are coming from a place where we were taught that whole life insurance is a scam or infinite banking is a scam, whatever the case may be. Better to look at it objectively than emotionally, right? And just see, okay, well, what would be my other options? If I don't store my money in a whole life insurance contract and I'm looking for a safe place to store my money, the other place would be bonds, savings accounts, money market accounts, high yield savings, CDs. All of these have fees and taxes. Whereas with whole life, a big benefit is you can remove the tax expense and you can remove a majority of the cost expense, because what's nice about when you pay premiums into a whole life insurance policy, again, the word dividend is a return of premium. So you're getting your money back that you paid to cost, which was the whole life, which was the death benefit. You're getting that money back. So yeah, it costs something up front, but then in the later years, you got all of that money back and then some. So you're able to multiply your money over that period of time. Whereas when I put my money in a bond, I have to pay a fee that will get withdrawn. I can't avoid that fee. And then I have taxes. I can't avoid the taxes. All right. I'm going to have to pay taxes on those accounts. So that kind of helps you look at it objectively. Okay, high level. All right, here are my options. Okay, cool. And then we go into what the overall strategy will be for yourself. Good stuff. Any questions? All right. Looking for questions, looking for thoughts, feedbacks. Morris, I'm truly impressed at depth. Renato is my first time exposed to this knowledge. 54-year-old veteran. Thank you. Awesome. Awesome. Yep. Let's spend the time. Let's educate ourselves. Anyone that is over the age of 50, right? And you think you don't have a lot of time, think again, right? Let's get out of that mindset that we don't have a whole lot of time. And let's look at some healthy examples. You know, if we look at Abraham, for example, he was 75 when he started his journey. right? Look at examples. Take a look at Grant Cardone, right? He didn't really explode till like his 50s and 60s, right? Take a look at Warren Buffett. He didn't explode till his late 50s, right? In wealth. So anyone that is around 50s, late 40s, late 50s, we have a whole at least 25 more years to go where we can create a money-making machine first, in my opinion, right? So going back to my business model here, I think before even doing infinite banking, right, I would rather you, boom, know your numbers, right? Maybe some velocity banking, some cash flow management, and then how do we build a good business model? An example of a very, very good business model is King Solomon. I mean, if you look at his writings and his teachings, the guy was paid 1 talent of gold for his services multiple times over. So this guy, King Solomon, was charging an annual rate for his services to the kings of the world of that time. And they were paying him millions and millions of dollars worth of gold, right? So a talent of gold today is like a little over $2.1 million. So this guy was getting paid $2.1 million multiple times over for his consultation and coaching and one-on-one mentorship fees on how to be a good king, right? What a business model, right? And he was a speaker. He spoke to the masses, and he was a judge, right? He did seminars and workshops. I mean, what a business model. If you're, say, 54-year-old veteran, right? You think about the amount of time you've been on this planet. What do you know really well? What are you super educated in that you could educate the masses in and then niche down to a certain area, right? Like King Solomon, I think his niche was kings and queens. That was his niche. He made a ton of money. My niche is working with mothers across the United States, helping them improve their finances. And then what happens is people start talking about you. And then this mom goes to that mom, this mom talks to that dad, and that dad talks to this dad. People start finding out about me and the work that I do. So then they come and they pay for the wisdom that I'm giving them. So there's an exchange of value. And they're able to go off and do great things. Christy Van, prime example, right? Is this lady not just like have a good read on the algorithm and creating content and educating lives across the United States? Is she not doing a phenomenal job? I mean, look at her content. It's freaking amazing. Excellent content from another veteran. Thank you. Awesome. You're right on point about King Solomon. I've been following Myron Golden for a few months now, and he shares the same principle, business models. Yep, Myron Golden. He's 62, 63. And now he's just now exploding in the last year or two, right? So please don't think that you're old and running out of time. You have a lot of time to first build the money-making machine, which is the activity income, and then spending less than what you make, creating a net positive cash flow, pay yourself first into, let's say, a cash value life insurance policy once you've built up a good amount of capital to throw into here, and then the discipline to do it consistently. And then multiply, reinvest, replenish, subdue, dominate the marketplace in the thing that you have the most amount of wisdom, value in, that you can turn into a product offering to the marketplace that people would pay you abundantly for. I think that is an amazing business model, something to really consider. Give you guys another chance to kind of just look at the board here. different components, what's going on, right? If you're at that point where you're ready to get this going, you could reach out to me directly. I can help you, right? Put this in place. I have a very, very healthy relationship with Caleb Better Wealth and his team, Steve Parisi, IBC Global. And I also just became a managing partner of an insurance agency. So I got some people that I can help you as well. So I got different avenues, right? Whoever you decide to work with, if you also want me to be a part of your journey, just communicate that with the agent that you're working with. And then we can work out like a commission split between the agent that you're working with, myself, if you want me to be a strategist with you and walk you along the way. That's something that we can discuss offline. If you're not ready, if this is too much, right? Infinite banking too much. And maybe like, for example, Jules just getting her HELOC, just starting velocity banking, not ready for infinite yet. I do coaching and consulting on that as well. I can work with you one-to-one. So you look at the links below and I can help you greatly in that area of the 4 major numbers, right? Getting your numbers down, right? Right over here. Making sure we're doing a positive cash flow. We got maybe a debt tool, a HELOC, a PLOC, a credit card, a multitude of things, right? Maybe we're paying off debt first. Maybe we're in the positioning phase, right? Maybe that's something that you need first before we do this whole thing, right? So what I like to do personally, I like to work with people getting their finances in order, developing a business model, creating a cash flow money-making machine, then incorporating infinite banking. Preferably, that is the preferable pathway that I like to go with people. Numbers first, know where we're at, spend less than what we make, cash flow, save, have those disciplined, good spending habits, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Build a good business model, then do infinite banking, safely store money, acquire these other vehicles along the way that help protect the fruit of your labor, right? Have the formulas in place, good principles. I don't see how you can't win on this planet. I don't see how you can not win greatly on this planet. So this has been great. Had a blast. Let's see if there's any other comments here. Best velocity banking teacher on YouTube. Thank you, Andre. Appreciate that. I will take that for sure. All right. I think we're completely done. Awesome. I don't see any other comments. Thank you for everyone liking the video. We got to 74 likes and there was like 74 people or 76 or something. So we got really close to that number. Appreciate that. If you want to meet me in person, doing a live event, December 16th, right? Love for you to be there. Hang out for an entire day. It's going to be a kingdom business planning workshop. So we're going to wrap up 2023 in December, and we're going to be mapping out 2024. What are we going to be doing? What are we going to be building? All right. So you want to be a part of that? Click the link below. It says register for my live event. Happy to meet in person. Happy to hang out. Have a blast. All right. Cool. We've been at this for 2.5 hours. I will let you go now. God bless you. Enjoy the rest of your day. We'll be talking soon.